Welcome to the 1912 Exiles podcast, the original, the biggest and the best Newport County podcast made by the fans for the fans, powered by the Terrace Cymru podcast network and brought to you in association with the Riverside Sports Bar, the home of live sport and great food in Newport. Good evening. Well, is it a good evening? I don't know whether it is. I'm Ed. I'm going to start off with an apology. We had got some fantastic links for tonight's show, lovingly pre-recorded by the pod OG Reese. He recorded those before tonight's game, and I was ready to just slot them in around Ian's match diary from tonight's game at Accrington. But as you will all know, that game did not go at all according to plan. Newport were on the receiving end of a spanking 5-0. It finished up in Lancashire. And as a result, as a podcast, we said we probably needed to do some bespoke links. So you're stuck with me tonight to, bring you... Well, we'd hoped it was going to be a podcast entitled Cheery Moments, because as we'll talk about later, we're keen to try and find moments of cheer, but there really were not very many on show at all. And it sounds as though there was a lot of gallows humour in the away terrace at Accrington. So maybe we'll, in the spirit of that, keep the episode title as Cheery Moments, even though, there was nothing very much at all to cheer. We have a pod of two halves for you tonight. First up, we have got that match diary from the master, Ian Street, reporting on that heavy defeat at Accrington. And then after the break, we have a chat from the weekend where I spoke to long-time listener and all-round good egg, Phil In Northampton, who made the trip to witness another defeat, this one at Chesterfield. But let's get to it. You all want to know what went wrong early this evening, so let's dip in and have that Ian Street match diary as he crossed the Pennines on his trip to the Crown Ground in Accrington.
So welcome to the North. It's been a while since I've been on, isn't it? It's been a while, to be honest, since I've seen us live, actually. Obviously, we played up in Chesterfield and Donny recently, but due to various life admin stuff, I couldn't be at those games. So first time I've seen us for a little while live. Really looking forward to it. Obviously, it's a live game, so you've got to look forward to it. Quite a good week for us, I think. Accrington today and then Harrogate at home on Saturday, which I'm also coming home for. So looking forward to that. 2 games this week. Going to be good stuff. 4 points. Let's aim for that. That would be great, wouldn't it? And then we can finally I don't have any issues about relegation, but that would put it to bed, wouldn't it, I think? But I think today it's one of those games after obviously being up here on, Chesterfield on Saturday, and then there's a long journey up here today. They're going to be, if you're an Accrington fan, and you're sweating a bit on relegation, you're going to look at this game and go, this is one to win, isn't it? Let's get at them, let's get after them, early doors, let's get into it. I think we've really got to be up for that. I think this is going to be, we can't just waltz up here and think, knock it about a bit and win. I think we've got to earn that right. It's the old cliche, isn't it? But I think they're going to be really on this. So I think this is going to be a hard game, and I think we're going to have to do well to get something out of it. Having said that, if we can all keep it tight, hold them, then hopefully the flying wingers will show some magic and we can nick it. But I think it's going to be a tight game. It's got 1-1, 2-1 type game written all over it for me. I have, obviously, this should have been a Saturday game a while back, shouldn't it? And I would have come over on the train and what have you, but it is switched to a Tuesday night. So fired up the jalopy. I've braved the car park of the M62, come over the Pennines, and we're up into sort of, it's like witch country up here. We're not far from like Pendle Hill and Pendle Witches and all that sort of stuff. So, up in Accrington. Go over here, parked up. So I'm going to head up to the ground and see what it's all about. Right, I've got in the ground. I managed to actually get here before the turnstiles are opened, which is slightly unusual for me. And the very kind gentleman stewards outside, because it's pretty cold here, we'll come under that, directed me to the Accrington Social Club, which is a really fabulous, like a new build on the back of the main stand, I think, but you can see out onto the pitch. It's really big. You'd get a good couple of hundred in here probably if it was full. Screens around, local beers on. I've got a Boland Hen Harrier, I think it's called. Little pale ale, which is excellent. Ollie's here, obviously, because he's home and away in every game this season. He's absolutely putting me to shame. But I was once young with no responsibility as well, so, that's all right. Ollie just flashed the team under my nose. And there is a couple of changes. So are we going funky or experimental? What's going on here? But we've got, obviously, Townsend in goal. And then we've got Baker, Clark and Warner as the 3 centre-backs. Then we'll have Thomas and Glennon on the outside of the 4. Whitmore's back in, so we're playing Whitmore and Macca as the 2 in the middle, so that's the 4 in midfield. And then the 3 up front, or the 2 plus the 1, is Bobby Camwa, CBR and Michael Spellman has snuck in. And I was thinking, is Ajiboy injured? No, he's not, because he's on the bench. So are we saving his pace for later? Are we trying to see if Spellman can do anything? And also a couple of other players interested on the bench. Obviously, Kieran Evans is on the bench. Boney's on the bench. Cam Evans, Webb, Mwene, who has sort of vanished out of the trace, hasn't he, really? And Brennan. So Brennan's back. I think that's the first time he's been on the bench for a while. So, that's really good to see. Be interesting to see if he gets a run out today. Interesting looking team. I've just been chatting to Ollie. How have we been playing recently? Is it 3-4-3? Is it what are we doing? But Ollie was saying quite rightly that when we've been talking about experimentation and all that sort of stuff, he was saying you've got to show up. And I was saying that outside. Accrington are going to look at this today and think, long way from home, these lads today. They're not going to fancy it up here very much. We need the points. We're going to get after them. So we really, really, really got to be on it today. Don't you think that, Al? And you were saying that last 2 away performances not been great.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a weird time at the moment because we've had the away matches at Doncaster and Chesterfield, either side of quite a stellar performance at home against Gillingham. And I don't think it's harsh to say that in those 2 away performances, it looks like a few of the players have been given maybe 5 out of 10 when it comes to their effort. I think we're in that position where we're unlikely to go down. We're certainly not going to go up. So it's maybe a bit of a premature holiday. Players on the beach sort of not really caring about how they perform. Obviously, I don't want to sort of come on the pod and slate any player and try to say, they're not good enough for the club. But when players aren't given 100%, when we're still not mathematically safe, it sort of gives you the hump a little bit to go. Some of these players are playing for contracts next season, either with county or with clubs in League 2 or above. So you think they want to put themselves in the shop window, so what they're worth. But there's just 1 or 2 players I want to sort of call into question about, where are their heads? Are they committed to the club? And if not, why are they still on the pitch?
Those harsh words from Ollie. But, he's putting the miles in. He's schlepped up. Bus left at 1 o'clock or whatever this afternoon. He's putting the miles in. He's got to have the view. Now, I'm trying to think. I think I've only seen us win once all season. Will I get number 2 today?
I hope so. I mean, if it's any consolation for you, I've done every away match and I've only seen 3 wins. So
there you go. This is the thing, though, isn't it? We have not. It's our home form that saved us. I watch as many as them as I can on the old telly box. We've had some great home performances. Gillingham was one recently. Obviously, franchise. There's been a few other good ones. We put that one together. But away from home, we have struggled. I think it's fair to say, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't want to sort of try to create a narrative here, but it does feel like we focus more on the home matches because we know at Rodney Parade with a Newport County crowd, more often than not we can play well, we can get a win. So we focus on picking up points at home, and then whatever happens away happens. And look, I don't want to accuse a team of dropping the ball a little bit when we go away, but it certainly feels like we're in a mindset of minimum of a draw at home, and if we lose away, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and I think it's tricky for me because I only do aways. So, for me this season, it's not been great fare. I think it's fair to say. And obviously I try and put a positive on all things because I want to see us do well and I want to win. But, it has been difficult. Although I'm coming home this Saturday, so my first home game of the season, because I thought this is quite a key week, really. This game today and then Harrogate at home. So, hopefully, at least this week, I should see a win. That's whether it's here or not, I'm not sure. But this, for me, this is absolutely the sort of game which tells you a lot, I think, as a fan. There won't be many travelling here today. It is. I tell you what, the game got called off because of the cold a while back. It might look spring-like. It's cold. Me cold sensor went off in the car on the way over. Just outside the ground, I saw a gritter machine go down. So it's cold here. You've got to show up, haven't you? You've got to show up at these games. I think it tells you so much. I want us to keep it reasonably. Keep our shape decent, and then let's have the pace. Ajiboy's on the bench. I think it's a very interesting choice that for me. I was really looking forward to seeing him play today, but hopefully he will come on and provide that if we're still in the game at that point. Hopefully provide that real spark off the bench. Is that how you see it, Ollie? Or are we going, let's have a look at Spellman? Well, let's do this experimentation thing.
It's certainly going to be an interesting performance. I think with the squad that we've got, the bench that we've got, and with the greatest respect to Accrington, with the squad and the position they find themselves in, there's nothing to say that we can't get 3 points here tonight. I can sort of understand Spellman over Ajiboy, because as much as I'd love to keep him, Ajiboy is a lone player. He is going back in the summer. Spellman staying next season. Same with Warner. Warner's going to be here next season. The likes of, maybe a Jameson, I know he's injured, so he's not playing, but I think this is the point where we need to start focusing on the players who are going to be here next season rather than who we've got at our disposal at the moment. So I think it is a chance for certain players to sort of force themselves into Nelson's plans, whether he stays or not, who knows, but it's certainly going to be an opportunity for a few players to sort of turn heads and say, look, I'm here to play for the club. I don't want to be sat on the bench. I want to be on the pitch. So it's going to be a real opportunity for a few players to sort of stamp a mark on the squad lineup.
So, having said that, it was like, you're starting to get a bit of a Michael Sheen fire up speech there. What is your score prediction for the game today?
On the goat, I went 2-1. I'm sticking with it. I've gone Kai Whitmore and Matt Baker. For those of you who was at the Gillingham away game way back when in October, when we played fantastically in the first half and grabbed 2 goals and sort of ran away with it, I'm hoping for a repeat of that. But honestly, anything that gets us 3 points and means I can go home to Newport at 2 o'clock this morning happy, I'll be happy with.
Yeah. Hopefully, it won't take me as long to get back on the M62, but you never know with that. I'm similar. I was going to go 1-1 or 2-1. I'm going 2-1 as well. I'm going to go Camwa and Spellman. And see how we go. So I think we can get it today. But so we'll get in the ground in a bit and see what it's like. But I tell you what, this clubhouse at Accrington is mint, isn't it all?
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful. They've got 4 screens just above where the pitch is. They've got a big screen over to our right, a bar with plenty of staff and plenty of beer. Lovely atmosphere. It's not noisy as such, but it's bustling. And I think any sort of clubhouse where you can just look over onto the stadium, see the stands, especially on a Tuesday night with the big LED board sort of illuminating. It's a wonderful place. You could happily spend a few hours in here.
You could. I really wish I hadn't driven because I'd like to have a few beers. I'm just having a little cheeky one here before we get into the ground. Right. See you in a minute. So we're in the ground and the teams are out. We're playing in our white kits. Doesn't look like there's too many in, to be honest with you. I'll tell you what was weird there though. We've just been in that amazing social bar behind the main stand. And basically, to get to the way end, we didn't have to go out to the ground. They just let us out this little side entrance into the home end of the main stand, and just said, "Oh, just walk yourself round." So I could have walked into the changing rooms. It's quite funny, but it's good. Pitch looks all right, I think. A bit scuffed in places, but not too bad. The loyal have turned up. There's not long way. Chatted to some Accrington fans in the social. I said, our away form's abysmal. They said, so's our home form. So it's got 0-0 written all over it. But hopefully not. Hopefully I want a goal fest to warm us up. I got a Balti pie made just down the road again. Local pie maker. Loving it. Right. Getting ready to go. Huddle's going to happen in a minute. So weirdly, we've got Seven Nation Army playing at the minute. But we're at the Wham Stadium. Surely they should have come out to Young Guns Go For It. Surely they're missing a trick there. But the ground that me and Ollie have just been talking about, even though they've been in League One, it's basically a non-league ground. This, it's nice and compact though. You've got it's all single level seats over the far side. I'm going to use the word main stand rather than grandstand, as it's fairly sparse. But they've got that lovely social club behind it. Home end, covered terrace. We're in a corner of the stand on the other side, and again all covered seating, and then to our left is an open terrace, which is where I've stood in the past when I've been here with fast, but obviously there's a sparse attendance here. We don't need that terrace. They put us in the corner of the stand and we're all ready to go. And as we were saying, we needed to start well and stay in the game, and we're 2 minutes in and we're 1 down, and it's just, again, it's poor defending. We haven't cleared our lines properly. We maybe tried to be a bit too clever at the back, and they played it out here to a guy on the left who seems to have just waltzed into the box and just basically passed it past Nick into the corner. None of that seemed very difficult. There was a butter pie on offer, and I tell you what, our defence partied like a knife through butter there. That was poor, and we already now they got their tails up, and we got a lot to do. It's poor. Slightly got a foothold in the game. Got Carmar away down the left, brought down for a free kick. That was whipped in. We got a corner from that. That was well taken, and it was quite a well worked move. And we just managed to put it past the post from a header. But we really need to get a grip of this and put them under some pressure. Can't just let them, bully us a little bit. And we've got to stand up here. This is going to be a long night, I fear. Again, just carved us open. Really, all they're doing is they're moving quite well. So they're moving quite well, and they're just playing it into the front lad, who's just playing it back to like a runner coming up. They've got guys going into the spaces behind our fullbacks, and they make it very easy for them, and that's exactly what they did there. They went in the space behind Glennon. I'm not saying that was Glennon's fault. Went in the space behind him, crossed it, and their striker's got to cross our man in and just had to tap it in inside the 6-yard box. It's far too easy. The game is too open, and we could be on for it. This could be a chastening experience unless we get a grip of this. It's quite hard to describe what we're seeing here. We gave away a free kick on the far side. Guys lined up, but all he's done is hit it into the box with a little bit of pace, not high, so basically just above ground level, and it's just gone into the far corner. His ball's travelled all the way. Why has nobody got in the way of that? Everyone's running in with the players. Nobody is actually watching where the ball's going, and it's just nestled in the far corner. I'm having an existential crisis here because we're 3-0 down after about 20 minutes, and it's just really poor.
There's been no sort of chemistry, no link. None of the players look like they've played with each other before, and I think at this point of the season it's inexcusable. I mean, midfield's been weak, defence has been poor. This isn't the performance you expect from a League 2 team, no matter what the quality or the experience of the players in it. It's just been a tough watch.
A tough watch indeed. I was almost 4. Honestly, this could be anything here. We are in danger of coming apart at the seams. And you look out there and you think, well, who's going to get a grip of things? Clark, Macca, and that's it, isn't it? From an experience point of view, really. Baker's captain in the 21s, hasn't he? So he needs to step up. We've got to step up here. We really need to show something. great point-blank save from Nick there. I thought that again was going to be a goal. We can't deal with we don't seem to be able to deal with a ball into our box. They're pressing us all over the pitch. We can't deal with it. They're flooding men forward. We can't track their runners. I'm really struggling to find anything that we're doing that is going to affect this game in a positive way at the minute. Is that too harsh, Ollie?
No, not at all. I think if anything, it's too generous. We're just far too weak in every area of the pitch. We're just... What Accrington are doing really well is they're committing numbers forward. They know they can get 8-9 men in our half, because if we get the ball, we're not going to trouble them. We're not going to pass around them. We're not going to get it over them. So they've got free rein to display their game in our half of the pitch. So, you know, why wouldn't you sort of press us? That's what they're doing. They're pressing us well. We're under pressure. We're crumbling, and it's just not been good enough.
So it's half time. We're 3 down. Could have been 4, could have been 5, could have been anything really. We haven't laid a glove. They're playing in all red. They look like the Liverpool team in the 80s. It's ridiculous. Or peak Barca. I can't believe this is Accrington away and we're making them look unbeatable. They've completely overrun us in midfield, which has been a key issue for us all season because the ball is just coming through us constantly. Jamie has just messaged me to say, sum it up in one word. That's really hard to do in a family-friendly show, but unspeakable would be my word. And before I ask Ollie what his is, and this is what gets me about these sort of end of season games and whatever. And I said before we came in here, I said they're going to look at us and go, we can turn these over. They've absolutely done everything they need to do, and we have not stood up to a single thing. Every single player out there has been poor. And the problem is, for those of us who spend time, effort, money, travelling, as we've done for years, we expect more than what we're seeing today. It's really, really, really bad. Now, it's bad for me, but Ollie has just calculated. He's been doing a brilliant calculation. I said before the game, I've only seen us win once. We're not winning today. He's averaging 415 miles per point this season. That's how bad we are away from home. Do you know what? I wish the players could know that, because people are spending a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of money, and the very least you expect is for people that play for the shirt. And there's been a few times this season, it's easy to say, to sit here and criticise, and as you know, I try and be positive. This is unspeakably bad. Ollie?
If I've got to explain it in one word, it is inexcusable. There is no way a League 2 team, no matter how long they've played together, no matter how inexperienced, no matter how injury-stricken they are, there is no way a League 2 team should be playing 45 minutes like that. It's even worse if these players have played, 30-odd games together? It's not like this is a brand new side with 4 or 5 new lads sprinkled in. We made one change from the team we played on Saturday. I just don't understand where the disconnect is coming from. There's no link between the keeper, the defence, the midfield, and the attack that's been non-existent. It's just, it's unacceptable for this level.
Yeah. So, the cliche goes, let's win the second half. And on that, I might have to go and have a second Bovril. Right. He sent them out early. Teacups have been flying at half time, no doubt. My Bovril's in danger. Got to win this half, haven't we? Got to win this half. We cannot have another half like that. That was absolutely unfathomably bad. So, yeah. Good game to win 4-3. Let's see what we can do. And we start the second half exactly like we did the first half. We're 5 minutes in and we've scored, and they've conceded yet another goal. They've carved us apart. It's a beautiful finish, fair play. He's probably 20 yards out and he's curled it into the top corner. Couple of Newport fans are already leaving. It's so bad. It's so bad. We need to change formation and we need to change personnel. We need to do at least something. This is so bad. I thought that the Swindon game earlier in the season was one of the worst things I've ever seen in 44 years of watching us. This is coming very close to me. Very close.
Whitmore off Rajaway.
So we've made a triple sub after that goal. So Whitmore's gone off for Rajiboy, Cam's gone off for Kieran Evans, and Warner has gone off for Brennan has come back on. As a wag in the Newport end has just shouted out, take them all off. 4 subs actually. Boney's come on for CBR. I tell you, if I brought me boots, get me on there. As Ollie has pointed out, we might have changed 4 people, but we haven't changed the formation, and we're being overrun. So the formation has to change for me. It's not just about the personnel. I tell a lie. Ollie's come out of the tactics truck and has corrected me. We have changed formation. We've gone 4-2-3-1. So Macca and Brennan are the 2 holding, and then you've got Ajiboy, Kieran Evans, and Spellman, and then Boney up front. Yeah. And it's a corner to Accrington, so in a minute we could be going 5 down. So while this game peters into non-existence, incredibly, when I was at Salford earlier in the season, there was 5 Carl Zeiss Jena fans there, and incredibly, there's 2 more here today. Bizarrely, 2 different ones. So, Jacob, yeah.
Jacob,
Yeah. Why are you here?
I want to see incredible good football,
Yeah.
which I didn't see.
Yeah.
So I'm really disappointed about it. But it's nice to be here. It's evening. It's a Tuesday night game, and we have spotlight, or how do you call it?
Yeah. Floodlights.
Front light. That's the perfect atmosphere I need.
And have you been to British football before? Or is this your first game?
Yeah. No, many times before.
Many times. Yeah.
Most around London.
And what do you think of Division 4 football?
Always nice. No, I like it. It's the truth of football. It's the original one. It's working class.
It's working class.
It's
It
not
is.
Champions League.
It's not. This is as far from the Champions League as you could possibly get. I was saying this is arguably the worst game I've seen in almost 44 years of watching us. Well, Jacob, what do you think of the quality of this?
What, the quality of it?
Yeah, what do you think? How bad?
I think I could play here. I wouldn't be the worst one.
You could get in this team, you think?
Yeah.
Love it.
But I don't need a salary. I do it for free. I do it just for honor.
Jacob will play for free. And I'm sorry I forgot your name.
Tino.
So we've got Tino with us as well, another Jena fan. What are you thinking of this terrible game?
This is a great match. I've seen 4 goals after 67 minutes, and that's fine. I'm here for goals.
Yeah, it's it. So, despite the fact that we're terrible, despite the fact that we're losing again, we've got some Jena fans here, and they're bringing a bit of joy to us. So thanks very much, guys.
You're welcome.
Luckily, I managed to miss the 5th goal as I was taking a leak. It's so woeful. It's untrue. We're not second best. We're like 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th best. It's terrifying how bad we are, honestly. We've lost every single individual battle. We've lost the structural battle, tactics battle. They've almost scored a 6th there as I'm chatting. We've been outplayed in every single area of the pitch, and we haven't registered a shot. Anything on goal, nothing. We've barely been in our half level or in their penalty box. We've created absolutely nothing. Really, just astonishingly bad. Over 100 have travelled here tonight. Some will say we should all have our money back. I would just want us to put on a performance. So, come Saturday against Harrogate, we've got to absolutely be on it, like a carb on it. We really have. I feel like I should apologise for anyone listening to this, because all I've done is moan and complain and rant, and I'm usually the positive one on the pod, but it's been a tough watch on it all.
My sincerest apologies to anyone who is added in this pod. I don't know which one of you it is, but this has been absolutely shit.
And on that, I can't say anymore. We're petering out. We're at 90 minutes. It's, all I'm left thinking is, have we got enough points to stay up? Because on this performance, it's a worry. However, I'm travelling home to Harrogate on Saturday, so hopefully we'll turn it on. We'll get a 3 points and we'll get our show back on the road. We've been tidy at home, haven't we, really? But away we have been absolutely bobbins this season. It's been awful to watch most of it, and this is the epitome of everything that you could possibly go wrong in a away performance has happened today. So I'm going to head back over the Pennines. I will be back in Newport on Saturday, and then we'll see you losing probably again in another northern town. All right, all the best, everyone. Stay safe.
There we go then. Good to get Ian's perspective on things, and he didn't hang back. The pod crew are looking forward to getting together on Saturday for the visit of Harrogate, and all being well, we can bring you something a little bit special after that match. But I wonder what's going to happen between now and Saturday. It feels as though a Rubicon was crossed with that defeat tonight. But let's turn the clock back and hear a little bit as well about Saturday's defeat in Derbyshire. I spoke to the legend Phil In Northampton to learn more about that 2-1 loss. It was good to talk to Phil. We still managed to remain relatively upbeat. But that was obviously before more recent events. Let's dip in and have a listen to that clip. Well, good evening, Phil. It's good to have you back on the pod. It's been a while. How is the season treating you so far?
Well, it was great to get out yesterday to see a live match. It was my third game live of the season and my first goal. I've seen 2 0-0s up to now, which hardly sort of is very inspiring, although at the time a point was very valuable. And for 60 seconds, I was in heaven yesterday.
Yeah, it's those short minutes that we have to kind of cling on to sometimes. I don't know whether a 2-1 defeat is better than a 0-0 draw. I guess at least you had something to talk about afterwards this time. We'll come on to the game in a moment, because I know going into it you said you wanted to have some cheery moments, and I'll want to hear about those and whether you found enough of them. But the first thing I want to ask you is about the ground, because it's only the third time we've played at Chesterfield's new ground since they moved there. I still haven't been. I really want to go up there. So tell me what you made of their newish stadium.
Well, I've never been to Chesterfield, new or old, to watch county play. My daughter lives in Nottingham now, so we do get to quite a few matches up that way. Mansfield seems to be ever present over the last few years, good and bad. And it ranges from Notts County and Alfreton up that way back in the day. So, but I was very impressed with the ground as a facility, but not necessarily as a football stadium with any character or atmosphere.
Yeah, well, and I guess that moves us on to the game and the atmosphere for that. I mean, again, before we come on to the action, one thing that fans might have seen in the run-up to it, that it was quite an emotional week for Chesterfield, because their owner, I think it is, got diagnosed midweek with terminal cancer, and really kind of awful thing to hit their club. So I think it was quite an emotional game for their fans, and they were doing a minute's applause during the game, and they were encouraging county fans to join in, which by all accounts they did. And we had a few messages from Chesterfield outlets saying, do relay our thanks to the travelling fans for really kind of joining in with that and showing respect. I mean, what was the atmosphere like? Because it sounded, it's obviously a difficult week and a peculiar week for them.
To be honest, that being the situation overtook everything regarding the football. Football really was just the background story yesterday. More so obviously for the Chesterfield club and their fans. And I think every Newport County supporter would understand and appreciate the situation they're in. We're all only a few days, months or years from a similar situation in our own lives, and there's very few people who haven't been touched by somebody who's suffering from cancer, and I didn't expect any other than a full support from the county fans, as we would expect away fans at our ground as well.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, like you say, cancer's no respecter of club colours, and and I think it was greatly appreciated by the home fans. we'd better talk about the game. Nelson Jardim seemed angry about the manner in which we lost, and in his post-match comments, he was saying about the need for players to grow up in terms of how they handle games like this one, especially after going ahead for that 1 minute. How did it feel to you in the stands, Phil?
Well, yeah, we had the jubilation of the goal, which I think it was two very average teams, and I thought we were holding our own very much in the first half, and we got our reward with the goal, and we could have had another goal which would have made it 2-0. If things have just run a bit better for us, but we were still jumping up and down and cheering and being happy with our cheery moment we've just experienced, and they just pop in a corner and same old story. We can't defend corners, balls into the box, and they score. So we thought, oh well, back to square one. But it wasn't back to square one. It was back to square -1 very soon. And that scored another in almost identical situation. And I think it was just sheer frustration for everybody that, what was a good position just before half time then turned into a terrible position.
From the outside, I was surprised to see us shipping goals from corners, because actually the one thing that we do seem to have cracked a bit over recent weeks is, with that move to 5 at the back, with Clark coming back into the side, the lad Warner, I know it's early days for him, but he's big and strong and he's happy to stick his head through a ball. But yet none of that seemed to stop us looking still vulnerable to set pieces and crosses.
Yeah, and coming out in the second half, you think, well, it's 2-1. You're only 1 goal away, and when you're only 1 goal away, you always got the hope. There's a saying in football, cliche, that it's the hope that kills you, but I disagree with that. It's the hope that keeps you going. But this why we're there is that hope that things will turn around. And, the next attack will be a goal, and then we'll equalise, and then you're in for the winner. So while there's only 1 goal in it, you'd never out of it. And I felt at half time we weren't out of it, but the team didn't seem to come out with that sort of same fight in the second half, and it was like whether the heads had gone down and they just sort of thought they'd done the hard work and felt a bit deflated with it. But the second half just fizzled out altogether as far as our attacking efforts concerned. It was just kick the ball up long. If CBR got his head on it, it just skidded off to their defenders. We had no support with him, and it just seemed like a lost cause from a long way out.
Yeah, and it seems as though the thing that annoyed the coach and that annoyed a lot of the fans was that lack of character. And one doesn't like to pick on individual players, but Josh Martin, I saw his name being mentioned as one who perhaps was a bit of a spectator at times during the game when he came on. Is that the thing that frustrated you, that lack of character and bite to try and force our way back into it at 2-1? Because like you say, at 2-1, all right, you're losing, but you've got 45 minutes against a team who are next to you in the table to go and show a bit of heart and desire and try and force the issue. And it just sounded like we never broke sweat really in the second half.
No, and I think, we were adjacent in the table going into the game, but that dropped to that point and we'd risen to that point. So it seems like we'd hit the ceiling going up and that probably hit the bottom going down. So we'd be happy to stay where we are and now be looking to bounce back up again. But they've had a lot of injuries, and we hear about our injuries, people that are out, but that levels itself out. There's no valid excuse in that, and I don't think Jardim looks to use that as an excuse. It's sparing the background, but that's the same for every club at this level. So in the first half, I was looking at players, because when you're watching on the TV or just listening to the commentary, you don't get that full picture of what's happening. But I picked a few players out and I thought, I'm quite impressed. Certainly Thomas impressed me first half, and so did Baker. But then they do something silly later and you think, well, perhaps they're not as good as I thought they were. But they're all trying their best. They're all still learning their game, so we're told. And so long as we're not going to in fear of relegation, you live with it and you keep moving forward and hoping for the best.
And I mean, you've said a couple who stood out for good reason. Baker and Thomas. I think Baker has been, in a lot of ways, the sort of underappreciated hero of the season. He's just quietly improved with every game, and will still make mistakes because he's still young and learning. But he has been increasingly consistent. And Thomas, again, it's such early days for him, but he does look like a prospect. Were there any who stuck out for other reasons? Were there any who you watched and thought, oh, they were weaker than you expected, or reliability? You know, who were the ones on the debit side, if you like?
I never call out our own players in a negative fashion, and I'm not going to do so now. I don't think anybody goes out not to do their best. Sometimes their best isn't as good as we hope, but I genuinely believe when they go out and play, they're doing their best. They may get frustrated, they may get downhearted, and that affects their play. But I really think that every player goes out to do his best. It's in his own interest to do his best, but his future at this club or another club. So I'm not going to call anybody out here.
Good man, good man. Well, that is, yeah, to your immense credit, I think. I want to throw one stat at you because I did see on Twitter that friend of the pod, Wise Daniel Grace, came out with a really interesting one. 17 times this season, our opponents have had at least double the number of shots that County have mustered in a game. So, as he put it, we have this really bad habit for not being able to affect games for long periods, or sort of stop the tide flowing against us. And that's been true in the home games that I've seen, and it sounds as though that was true on Saturday. How would you try to change that? In the games we've got left, how can we try to reduce the number of shots that we're giving our opponents and try and create more for ourselves? Because that fundamentally is the problem, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think the problem is just holding on to the ball for any length of time. We've tried the possession game from the back, which gives you the possession stats, but doesn't necessarily or hasn't brought the results that we need. And you lump it up and forwards. There's not that cohesiveness at the front with somebody winning the header and somebody picking the ball up and laying it back to advancing players. We just seem disjointed from each of the thirds of the pitch. They must train. Everybody trains to do things, and whether the opposition are just a little bit smarter and know what we're going to be doing, but we just don't seem to be on top of attacking their defence the way we get attacked. We just seem to lack that spark at the top.
It feels as though now we have broadly settled on a shape and an 11 that we quite like, with that 5 at the back and then the sitting 2 and then the kind of wide men supporting the lone striker. But like you say, what we haven't quite cracked is that although those individual constituent parts, the backline, the midfield, the top, stack up, it's how we transition between them in games, and whether that's a weakness. That I'd never really thought about it in those terms. I want to finish by zooming out a little bit, Phil, because you will know, as a podcast, we're always keen to retain a sort of healthy sense of perspective. And I think this is my 20th season watching Newport County. I hope you don't mind me saying so, but you've been watching us for a little bit longer than that. And I just wondered where this team sits in your history and experience of watching Newport County. Do you think we can kick on next season? And what are some of the areas that you think maybe need addressing?
Well, my county supporting history is the 2 segments, as you know, the old and the new. The new, which are classed as sort of really since Conference South days, is when I really got back involved again. And we've just been spoiled since then with success after success. My 2 kids are now Newport County fans, attend the matches, they've got the gear, and they've only known good times. But now it feels like we're more, this is the old 4th division that I used to go and watch on my own on a wet Tuesday night, down to Watford or down to Brentford, up to Walsall, out to Cambridge. And it was just dour. You didn't expect anything, and you're very rarely disappointed. I mean, it's a slow progress. The main thing is that you're not in fear of relegation. Once you put that behind you, whether that needs a good enough string of results at the start so that you're on a good footing from early days, but when you've got that over your shoulder, it just puts a tension into all the club, the players, the supporters, and then it's not as enjoyable as it should be. We just want to go to football and have those cheery moments. The goal, want to see a goal, or you want to see somebody putting themselves about and zipping down the wing, and you want to see a bit of aggression in your defenders, and that just brightens the day up. If you can get a win, that's a bonus. But what you don't want is nothing happening.
That is said with the passion of a man who's travelled a long way to watch 2 0-0 draws this season. Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, amen to that, Phil. It's always a pleasure to have you on, and I'm sure we'll have you back on again before too long. Are you going to get to many more games between now and the end of the season?
I'm not sure. I'm now retired, and leisure takes up a lot more of my time than anything else, and often that is commitments to being elsewhere other than going to football.
Fair enough. Well, we hope to get you back to a game soon and back on the pod before long. But yeah, thanks as always, Phil. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you.
Yeah, good to chat with you, Ed. Cheers for now.
Lovely stuff, and a helpful reminder there from Phil to focus on the cheery moments of our days at the football. Let's hope that we do get a few more of those between now and May. That brings us up to speed, but we will be back again very, very soon. Thank you to everyone who's been on tonight. Thank you to Tintin the Bucket Hats for continuing to allow us to use Discoland as our theme. Thank you to our Ko-Fi subscribers, details in the show notes if you want to join them, for keeping the bills paid and ensuring that Ian has a steady supply of steaming hot Bovril. And thanks to all of you for listening. Until next time, look after yourselves, look after each other, and above all, as always, keep it county.